The television courtroom had never witnessed such raw, unfiltered arrogance from someone this wealthy. Clarissa Monroe, a 42-year-old luxury real estate investor worth nearly $47 million, sits inside Judge Judy-Style courtroom. With the kind of smug confidence that could only come from a lifetime of never facing real consequences for her actions. Her perfectly styled blonde hair, fresh from a $600 Beverly Hills salon appointment that very morning, framed a face radiating entitlement, superiority, and cold contempt. She wore a cream-white Chanel suit, valued at over $12,000, paired with diamond earrings worth more than most people earned in an entire year, along with a matching tennis bracelet that flashed beneath the courtroom lights every time she made another dismissive gesture. Her designer handbag, a rare limited edition Hermes Birkin worth $45,000, rested beside her like a trophy celebrating her power and status. Everything about Clarissa Monroe screamed money, privilege, control, and the terrifying certainty that she believed she was completely untouchable. She had walked into Judge Judy's courtroom that Tuesday morning absolutely convinced she would humiliate the woman daring to challenge her, a simple housekeeper who in Clarissa's mind should have known her place. What Clarissa said to Judge Judy over the next few minutes would make the entire audience gasp in horror and turn her into one of the most hated women in America, almost overnight. The moment that destroyed Clarissa Monroe's carefully built image came without warning. During a heated exchange about unpaid wages, Clarissa Monroe pointed her perfectly manicured finger directly toward Judge Judy-Style, the woman famous for crushing arrogant defendants on national television for more than 2 decades. The cruel words that casually spilled from Clarissa's lips were captured by every camera inside the courtroom. "You clearly don't understand how rich people operate. Judge, maybe if you actually had real money, you'd finally get it." The silence that followed was suffocating. Every single person in that courtroom, from the bailiff to the audience members to the stunned production crew, froze in complete disbelief. Nobody, absolutely nobody, had ever been reckless enough to insult Judge Judy's intelligence and financial status in the same sentence. Judge Judy's eyes narrowed into the kind of terrifying stare that had made experienced attorneys fall apart on national television. Loyal viewers immediately recognized the look. Someone was about to be destroyed. Her hands folded slowly atop the bench, her jaw tightened with controlled fury, and for 5 painfully long seconds, she simply stared at Clarissa Monroe with an intensity that should have warned any intelligent person they had just made the biggest mistake of their life. But Clarissa, blinded by privilege and arrogance, actually smiled. She genuinely thought she had won the moment. What happened over the next 3 minutes would leave the courtroom speechless and transform Clarissa Monroe from entitled millionaire into a cautionary tale shared across every social media platform imaginable. This was not going to be a routine small claims case. This was going to be the complete annihilation of a woman who had spent her entire life believing money could buy immunity from consequences, accountability, and even basic human decency. Judge Judy had been quietly building a trap from the moment Clarissa walked through the courtroom doors, asking innocent-sounding questions that were secretly constructing an airtight case against her. What Judge Judy was about to reveal about Clarissa's hidden criminal history, her disturbing pattern of abusing household employees, and the fabricated evidence she used to destroy an innocent woman's life, would shock America and expose the dark underbelly of how some wealthy people treat those they consider beneath them. Clarissa Monroe had entered that courtroom believing she would humiliate a housekeeper on national television. Instead, she was about to learn that inside Judge Judy's courtroom, your bank account means nothing, your designer clothes cannot protect you, and arrogance always gets exactly what it deserves. This case was never really about the $3,500 Clarissa Monroe claimed she was owed. That amount represented 2 weeks of wages Clarissa had deliberately stolen, through a stopped payment on a check she personally signed. This case was about power, it was about privilege, it was about what happens when someone with unlimited money begins believing they are above the law and above ordinary human decencies. This was about a wealthy woman who had spent years terrorizing vulnerable household employees, fully aware they were too frightened, too desperate, and too financially unstable to fight back against her abuse. And this was about what finally happens when someone decides enough is enough. Elena Ramirez, a 58-year-old immigrant housekeeper who had spent 23 exhausting years cleaning the mansions of Beverly Hills, sat, trembling, in the plaintiff's chair. Her weathered hands tightly clutched a worn folder, filled with evidence capable of destroying Clarissa Monroe forever. Inside were text messages documenting months of abuse, bank records showing the illegal stopped payment, and most importantly, security footage proving Clarissa had fabricated the entire theft accusation from the beginning. Elena had spent the previous night praying desperately for justice. Terrified that her word as a poor immigrant woman would never be believed against a millionaire, with expensive lawyers, endless resources, and powerful social connections, she had absolutely no idea she was about to witness the most savage judicial takedown in television history. What Clarissa didn't know, what her arrogance prevented her from even considering, was that Judge Judy had spent the previous night doing something she almost never did for ordinary small claims cases. She had investigated personally. Judge Judy had quietly reviewed sealed court records, contacted previous employers, spoken to former household staff members, and uncovered a horrifying pattern of behavior so disturbing, it kept her awake past midnight, preparing her strategy. Judge Judy discovered Clarissa's juvenile arrest record involving credit card fraud, a case her wealthy father's lawyers managed to bury years ago. She uncovered testimony from 6 former housekeepers describing identical patterns of emotional abuse, false theft accusations, wage manipulation, intimidation, and psychological cruelty. And then she found the footage, security camera footage recorded directly from Clarissa's own mansion security system, footage proving without question that the Cartier bracelet Clarissa claimed was stolen had never even left her locked bedroom. Judge Judy had built a case so airtight, so devastating, that Clarissa Monroe's carefully protected life of privilege was about to explode on national television. Before the courtroom even realized what was happening, Judge Judy had already won. Elena Ramirez had arrived in America 31 years earlier from a small village in Guatemala, carrying nothing except $200, broken English, and the desperate dream of giving her children opportunities she never had. She spent over 2 decades cleaning luxury homes across Beverly Hills, slowly building a reputation as one of the most trustworthy and hard-working domestic workers in Los Angeles. Her rough hands, worn from years of scrubbing marble floors and polishing expensive silverware, told the story of a woman who had sacrificed everything for her family. She had cleaned homes for movie producers, wealthy surgeons, old money families, and powerful executives. Every single client had praised her honesty and professionalism. Elena was the person wealthy families trusted with their homes, valuables, and sometimes even their children. She worked 60-hour weeks for years to put all 3 of her children through college. Her oldest daughter became a registered nurse, her son became a mathematics teacher, and her youngest daughter was attending medical school before Clarissa Monroe destroyed everything. That was exactly what made Clarissa Monroe's betrayal feel so cruel, calculated, and deeply personal. 18 months earlier, Elena Ramirez had been hired through one of the most prestigious domestic staffing agencies in Los Angeles. An agency trusted only by wealthy families who could afford premium household staff. Clarissa Monroe promised Elena $35 an hour to maintain her sprawling Beverly Hills estate, a massive 12,000-square-foot mansion with marble floors, imported chandeliers, 7 bathrooms, a pool house, and an enormous guest wing rarely used except during lavish parties. At first, everything seemed normal. Clarissa traveled constantly between Malibu, Aspen, Paris and New York, leaving Elena to quietly maintain the mansion in spotless condition. Elena took genuine pride in her work. She arrived every morning before sunrise, and often stayed well into the evening. Sometimes she worked extra hours without charging, because she believed in doing every job correctly, no matter how wealthy or demanding the client might be. But, slowly, Clarissa's behavior began changing. The demands became impossible. Clean the entire mansion in 4 hours. Use only luxury imported cleaning chemicals that cost nearly $200 a bottle. Never sit down inside the house. Never use the family restroom. Never speak directly to Clarissa's husband or teenage children. Work weekends without advance notice. Cancel holidays. Skip lunch breaks. Stay late without extra pay. Elena tolerated it because she desperately needed the income, and she understood how quickly wealthy clients could destroy a domestic worker's reputation with a few phone calls. Then the accusations began. At first, they seemed almost harmless. A decorative candle missing from the guest bathroom, an expensive crystal paperweight gone from the office, luxury hand towels disappearing from the pool house. Every single time, Clarissa immediately accused Elena. And every single time, the missing item mysteriously reappeared days later, inside a drawer, on a shelf, under a table, somewhere Clarissa conveniently forgot to check. But Clarissa never apologized. Not once. Instead, she simply moved on to the next accusation. The humiliation slowly became a twisted game. Clarissa especially enjoyed accusing Elena in front of wealthy friends during afternoon wine gatherings. Elena would stand there silently while rich women stared at her like a criminal, pretending to be innocent. "Oh, it's just impossible finding trustworthy help these days." Clarissa would sigh dramatically while sipping expensive wine. The women would shake their heads sympathetically. Elena felt her cheeks burn with humiliation every single time. The accusations eventually escalated from small household items to luxury possessions. An $800 crystal vase, a designer throw pillow worth over $1,000, luxury skincare products, diamond earrings, expensive perfumes. Every accusation came with another public humiliation. Clarissa knew exactly what she was doing. She enjoyed the power. She enjoyed watching Elena struggle to defend herself. She enjoyed reminding someone poorer that they could be destroyed at any moment. What Elena didn't fully understand at first was that Clarissa Monroe had done this before, many times. This was not random behavior, this was a pattern. Clarissa used false accusations, the same way other people used intimidation. It made her feel powerful. It made her feel untouchable. The breaking point came late one exhausting Saturday afternoon. Clarissa demanded Elena prepare the entire mansion for a luxury dinner party, beginning in only 6 hours. Elena had already worked nearly 50 hours that week. Her back ached from scrubbing marble floors. Her hands were raw from chemicals. Her entire body felt exhausted beyond words. Very politely, Elena explained that preparing the entire estate in only 6 hours was impossible. Clarissa's expression instantly turned cold. "I pay you," Clarissa snapped sharply. "Which means I own your time." Something inside Elena finally broke. Not her spirit, her silence. She slowly straightened her tired shoulders and looked Clarissa Monroe directly in the eye for the first time in months. "Mrs. Monroe," Elena said quietly, "I am a human being, not your property. I have worked honestly for you every single day, but I will not continue living like this anymore. I'm giving my 2 weeks' notice." The change in Clarissa's face was immediate and terrifying. All fake politeness vanished instantly. Pure rage replaced it. "You'll regret this," Clarissa hissed venomously. "By the time I'm finished with you, nobody in this city will hire you to clean toilets." Elena tried ignoring the threat. For the next 2 weeks, she continued cleaning the mansion with the exact same professionalism and dignity she had always shown. On her final day, Clarissa handed Elena a check for $3,500, representing her final wages. Elena accepted the check with trembling hands, relieved the nightmare was finally ending. She thanked Clarissa politely, collected her cleaning supplies from the garage, and drove directly to her bank. Within 24 hours, the money appeared in her account. For the first time in months, Elena finally felt relief. She could pay rent, she could help cover her daughter's medical school tuition, she could start rebuilding her life somewhere healthier. For 3 peaceful days, Elena believed she had escaped Clarissa Monroe's world with her dignity still intact. She had absolutely no idea Clarissa was preparing to destroy her life completely. On the 4th morning after Elena's final shift, 2 police officers knocked on her apartment door. Shortly after 7 a.m., Elena's heart nearly stopped. The officers informed her that Clarissa Monroe had filed a police report accusing Elena of stealing a $15,000 Cartier bracelet from the mansion during her final week of employment. Elena felt physically sick. She immediately denied everything. The officers remained polite, but explained they still needed to investigate. Alina, knowing she had nothing to hide, allowed them to search her tiny apartment. For nearly 45 painful minutes, officers searched every drawer, closet, shelf and cabinet. They found nothing, because there was nothing to find. But the damage had already begun. Later that same morning, Alina visited the bank intending to withdraw grocery money. Instead, she discovered her account was massively overdrawn. Clarissa Monroe had placed a stop payment on the $3,500 paycheck. Because Alina had already used some of the money to pay bills, her account balance had fallen deeply negative. Her rent payment bounced. Her daughter's tuition payment bounced. Late fees piled up instantly. Alina stood inside the bank, shaking with panic while the teller quietly explained there was nothing they could do. But Clarissa Monroe still wasn't finished. Within days, Clarissa contacted nearly every major domestic staffing agency in Los Angeles. She told the exact same story repeatedly. Be careful of Elena Ramirez. She stole jewelry from me. Clarissa hosted warnings in private online groups used by wealthy, Beverly Hills families to discuss household staff. Overnight, Elena's reputation collapsed. Clients canceled appointments. Longtime employers suddenly stopped calling. Potential new clients disappeared completely. Nearly 80% of Elena's income vanished in less than a week. Her youngest daughter was forced to withdraw temporarily from medical school. Because tuition payments failed, everything Elena spent decades building was collapsing because of one wealthy woman's lies. And then Clarissa delivered the final blow. She filed a lawsuit. Clarissa Monroe sued Elena Ramirez for $18,500, claiming $15,000 for the supposedly stolen bracelet, and another $3,500 in damages for poor work performance. The lawsuit was designed to bury Elena financially and permanently destroy any chance she had of rebuilding her reputation. But what Clarissa didn't realize was that Elena had quietly been documenting everything. Every threatening text message, every false accusation, every unreasonable demand, every conversation. And most importantly, Clarissa's own security cameras had captured far more than she realized. When the producers of the Judge Judy show reviewed Elena Ramirez's application along with the mountain of evidence she submitted, they immediately realized this case was going to explode across national television. Within 48 hours, they contacted Elena and offered to fly her to Los Angeles for filming. Elena accepted, not because she wanted fame or attention, but because she had exhausted every other path toward justice. This was her final chance. Her final chance to clear her name. Her final chance to recover the wages Clarissa Monroe had stolen. And her final chance to stop a wealthy woman from destroying more innocent workers in the future. What Elena didn't know was that Clarissa Monroe was arrogant enough, reckless enough, and entitled enough to insult Judge Judy directly to her face on national television. Clarissa Monroe entered Judge Judy's courtroom like she was walking into an expensive boutique where she planned to complain about poor service. Her designer heels clicked confidently across the floor. She rolled her eyes the moment she saw Elena seated quietly at the plaintiff's table wearing a modest dress and nervous expression. Clarissa deliberately placed her $45,000 Hermes Birkin bag directly where cameras could capture it. It was a calculated move. Everything Clarissa did was calculated. The audience immediately sensed her energy, that unmistakable aura of entitlement. Several audience members exchanged uncomfortable glances that silently said the same thing. This woman has absolutely no idea what's about to happen to her. Judge Judy watched Clarissa carefully from the bench, silently studying every gesture, expression and reaction. Then she began. Ms. Monroe, you're suing Ms. Ramirez for $18,500. Explain to me exactly what happened. Clarissa immediately launched into a dramatic performance. Your Honor, this woman completely violated my trust, Clarissa said coldly. I welcomed her into my home, treated her generously, and she repaid me by stealing from me. Judge Judy's eyebrow lifted slightly. Experienced viewers recognized the warning sign instantly. Ms. Monroe, Judge Judy asked calmly, how much were you paying Ms. Ramirez? $35 an hour, Clarissa answered dismissively. Which is extremely generous for cleaning work. Judge Judy nodded slowly. And how large is your home? Clarissa answered proudly. 12,000 square feet, 7 bathrooms, guest house, pool house, wine cellar. And how many hours per week did Ms. Ramirez work? Clarissa shrugged carelessly. I don't know exactly, however long it took to finish the work. The courtroom shifted slightly. Judge Judy leaned forward. You don't know? Clarissa rolled her eyes slightly. When you hire staff at this level, Judge, you don't really track every little detail. That sentence alone told Judge Judy everything she needed to know. The questioning became sharper, more aggressive. Every question quietly tightened the trap around Clarissa Monroe. Let's discuss the bracelet. Judge Judy continued. When did you first notice it missing? The day after Elena's last shift. Clarissa answered confidently. It vanished from my jewelry box. And you're certain Ms. Ramirez took it? Of course she did, Clarissa snapped. She was the only one with access. Judge Judy's eyes narrowed slightly. Common sense is not evidence, Ms. Monroe. Clarissa's irritation became more visible with every passing minute. Then came the moment that changed everything forever. Judge Judy began questioning Clarissa about the stopped paycheck, explaining clearly that wage theft was illegal regardless of personal disputes. Clarissa interrupted impatiently. Judge, I understand you need to act tough for television, but in the real world, when employees steal from you, you don't reward them by paying wages. The courtroom became very quiet. Judge Judy's voice turned cold. Excuse me? Clarissa doubled down immediately. I'm simply saying you probably don't understand how wealthy people operate in these situations. Then Clarissa Monroe made the single worst mistake of her life. She smiled smugly and leaned forward slightly. You clearly don't understand how rich people operate, Judge. Maybe if you had real money, you'd finally understand. The audience gasped loudly. One woman in the audience physically covered her mouth. Even the camera operators seemed stunned. Judge Judy sat perfectly still for several seconds. Then finally she spoke, quietly, dangerously. Ms. Monroe. Did you just suggest I just understand wealthy people because I'm not wealthy enough? Clarissa immediately realized she crossed the line. But it was too late. Judge Judy slowly reached toward the thick folder, resting beside her bench. The folder Clarissa assumed contained ordinary case paperwork. It didn't. Inside was the complete destruction of Clarissa Monroe's carefully protected life. Judge Judy opened the folder slowly. Ms. Monroe, she said calmly. Since you've decided to question my understanding of wealthy people, let's discuss your own history. Clarissa's confident expression disappeared instantly. Judge Judy removed the first document. This is a police report from 2001 involving your arrest for credit card fraud. Clarissa's face turned white. That record was sealed, she whispered. Judge Judy ignored the interruption. You stole your college roommate's credit cards and spent over $23,000 on luxury items. Clarissa looked physically sick. Judge Judy continued. You accepted a plea deal arranged by your father's attorneys. You were ordered into counseling and anger management treatment, neither of which you completed. The courtroom was completely silent now. Then Judge Judy revealed the next stack of documents. 6 former employees gave statements describing identical patterns of abuse, false theft accusations, wage manipulation, emotional intimidation. Clarissa looked frozen, but Judge Judy still wasn't finished. Then came the final blow. Judge Judy lifted a photograph. Ms. Monroe, this is your Cartier bracelet, correct? Clarissa nodded weakly. Judge Judy held the photograph toward the cameras. This image came directly from your own home security system. It was taken 3 days after Ms. Ramirez stopped working for you. The audience immediately leaned forward. The bracelet was photographed sitting on your bathroom counter. Inside your locked master bedroom, Clarissa's mouth opened but no sound came out. Judge Judy's voice cut through the courtroom like a blade. So tell me, Ms. Monroe, how exactly did Elena Ramirez steal a bracelet that never left your home? Clarissa completely unraveled. That could be another bracelet? Judge Judy instantly produced insurance records showing matching serial numbers. The courtroom exploded into shocked applause. Elena Ramirez covered her face and began crying. Not from sadness, from relief. After nearly 2 years of humiliation, fear, and emotional destruction, the truth had finally won. Judge Judy delivered her ruling with absolute precision. Judgment for the plaintiff. Clarissa Monroe stared blankly ahead. You will repay the $3,500 in stolen wages. You will pay $15,000 for defamation and emotional damages. And you will pay $25,000 in punitive damages for your deliberate abuse and malicious conduct. Total judgment: $43,500. Clarissa looked like she had been physically hit. That's insane, she shouted. Judge Judy immediately silenced her. This ruling is final. But Judge Judy still wasn't done. I am also referring this matter to the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office for investigation into false police reporting and wage theft. Clarissa's entire world collapsed in seconds. Her makeup streaked as tears rolled down her face. Her hands shook uncontrollably. For the first time in her privileged life, Clarissa Monroe finally understood consequences. Within hours of airing, the courtroom clip went viral worldwide. Millions watched Clarissa Monroe insult Judge Judy before getting completely destroyed by evidence she never saw coming. Social media exploded. Former friends abandoned Clarissa publicly. Luxury staffing agencies blacklisted her permanently. And prosecutors officially opened investigations into her conduct. Meanwhile, Elena Ramirez's life changed forever. Viewers donated over $100,000 to help her daughter return to medical school. Elena eventually launched a nonprofit organization helping immigrant domestic workers understand their legal rights and protect themselves from abuse. Her story became a symbol of courage for vulnerable workers across the country, and Clarissa Monroe's name became a warning. A reminder that arrogance, cruelty, and money cannot always protect people from the truth. Because in Judge Judy's courtroom, no amount of wealth matters once the evidence starts speaking.